Hey guys, welcome back to Heroes for Hire Comic Club. My name is Matt. Good to see you guys. We have a comic book review today. Another episode of Matt's new comic recommendations. And today we will be looking at the new Werewolf by Night #1 Red Band edition. I just broke it out of the poly bag very carefully so it didn't ruin the comic. You'll see it says appropriate audiences only on the bag. And they have a regular version for the more squeamish people. Or children. They don't want children looking at this in the comic book shop, So we got it, and it starts out. It's really. I'll read what it says. It says, unbeknownst to him, Jack Russell's father was an occultist. Fleeing from their native home in Eastern Europe, Jack's family moved to America when he was a toddler. But when trouble followed, Jack became entangled in his father's magics in ways beyond either their understanding. Now, with the cursed blood of his family surging through his veins, Jack changes in the light of the full moon, becoming Werewolf by Night. It's got a little spread, tells it. Here we got the credits. I'll read the credits. The writer of this comic book is Jason Liu. The penciler was Sergio Davila, and the inkers are Jay Lyston, J.P. Mayer, and Craig Young. The colorist of this comic is Alex Sinclair, and the letter is Joe Sabino. Cover artist, cover is E.M. Gist, and the variant cover artist, which I don't have the variants, is Marcus Martin. He did the foil cover, and then I won't get into that. But we got the production designer, Kat Walkington, associate editor Lauren Amaro, editor Devin Lewis, and the editor in chief is C.B. Cebulski. And so this is a takeoff. Werewolf by Night was a series that came out in the 70s, in the Bronze Age of comics. Very popular. You might remember that Moon Knight's first appearance was in an issue of the original Volume 1 of Werewolf by Night. And, of course, the character is Jack Russell. And when we open the comic up, it says, a few weeks ago, the Rockies. And there's a link. There's a kind of a tie-in to what happened during the Blood Hunt event. They just got Marvel just wrapped up. So you come in, this guy's like a blogger or a YouTuber, and he's streaming. He's talking about how he's going to go in there, and he's heard there's a werewolf here and there's monsters. This castle just materialized a while back in the Rocky Mountains, just magically or something. And you'll find that later. But he's in here exploring the place, and he sees like this tentacle thing, and he's like, "Oh crap!" And the people on the chat room see it. They go, "Is that a tentacle?" And there's some idiot says, "Go chase it." Another guy says, "WTF?" And then this guy's like, "Get out of there," which is what I would do. Well, he turns around, and the guy carrying the tentacle monster is a dead monster. Is Jack Russell, Werewolf by Night. He's not the werewolf there. And he tells him to get out of his house. So the guy runs off, and he's like, "Well, that's like the 6th guy this month that's come here, trying to film here at this castle." But so he's exposing his body. He's having a hard time doing it. So he's like, "Well, the Werewolf by Night could probably do it better." So he turns into the werewolf, and he helps him clean up. Then he flash forward, and he's on a little ferry boat, because this is a little island in the middle of this lake right in Colorado, and the townspeople have to use a ferry to get to the mainland. And so they know Jack, and he's sitting there writing a poem. They said, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm doing writing a poem for the next poem slam. We see an advertisement for the new Deathlock comic, which I'm excited about. So when that comes out, see when that comes out while I'm at it here. Oh, in September, I will be definitely checking that one out." So anyway, they're getting on the boat, and like if you remember the Blood Hunt thing, there was like this darkness came over. They had used like the dark force or dark hole, I think they call it, to blot out the sun, and the vampires were able to run around all day and night. There was no daylight. Finally, they were able to, with the help of Dr. Doom, the Avengers, and all the heroes like Spider-Man, even Count Dracula helped, because he didn't like what was going on. Because I guess he wanted to be the head honcho vampire of the world. So anyway, they all team up. All the heroes had to fight this. Hulk, all of them. Wolverine, they all got their own. It's the whole thing. It was kind of like, well, but it was interesting. But anyway, so let's kind of link to this. So he says, "Well, it's too dark. We got to turn around." And then it flashes forward again, And it shows you, well, it flashes to New York. You see the Avengers and all the heroes of Manhattan fight these vampire monsters and stuff that blotted out the sun. They defeated it. Spoiler alert. And then it goes not to, it says Charmington, Colorado, which is where this castle's at. And you see him full werewolf. Very cool art. But then he wakes up, and it's been like days and days. I don't know how long. And he has no memory of what he's done. So he steps outside, and he sees all these scratch marks and stuff where it looked like him. But he says, I smell something familiar, but it doesn't smell quite like my scent when I was, werewolf, whatever. He sees this blood trail. And lo and behold, he sees the murdered bodies of his two friends, or his neighbors that were friends. And he thinks, well, it's got to be me, right? But he says there's something different about it, but it has to be my claw marks, which kind of leaves it open. Maybe it's not him. But then they flash to Romania in Transylvania, and you see these guys are called the Dark Holders, they call them. And they of course, the Dark Holder, and they're talking about how we must avoid detection of the sorceress Harkness and her Darkhold child. So they're afraid of the sorceress Agatha Harkness, and she was in that bit. If you remember the Scarlet Vision and the Scarlet Witch show, what was it called? WandaVision, yeah. She was part of. They're having her own show. I've heard mixed things about what people think of that, but that's for another episode of another show. All right. So they're talking about what they're going to do, right? And this guy barges in. He says, "My name's Deathwatch," and he tells them basically, "Look, I know a thing about running a syndicate. I can tell you're all in desperate need for new leadership, right?" And this guy, the guy that was like talking and telling everybody, one of the guys looked at him and says, "Get out of here, you outsider. We don't want your kind. We don't need you here. You're an outsider." So like, this guy messes. Let's just say he messes this guy up, right? He kills him, like squishes his face right off. I don't really want to show that one on the screen, but and then he's like, "Does anyone care for another demonstration?" So they all just back off. And then this other guy comes down the stairs. He calls himself the Hood, and he says, and now he basically says, "I'm going to be your new CEO. My name's the Hood, and who better than me, a criminal mastermind that's been through hell, shook the devil's hand, and came back to tell about it to lead this organization." Basically, they're all like, "What?" So these other three people smart off to him, and they're like saying something about, "Is there laughter in hell? I heard the laughter in hell is for you." And they're like, "Ha ha ha." So he pops all three of their heads off at the same time. So, of course, after that, nobody talks back after that, right? So then he tells me his new plan. I won't get too much into it. Then we flash back to the Rockies, and Elsa Bloodstone, who is, she's a monster hunter, very adorable, cute-looking monster hunter. I dig those redheads, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, she got her little shotgun there. I want to cross her, though. And she's like going to visit him, but she hasn't heard from him, right? So she goes up to check Jack, and she talks about how this castle, him and Jack were the ones that took down this guy named Dr. Necromantics, and they had all these mindless monster creatures in there. They took it down. And Jack took over the castle and lived there. He's just trying to live in peace, right? She goes in the place. She can't find him anywhere. She finally finds him, and he's chained himself in there because he's afraid he'd kill his neighbors. And they have a little conversation, and she's like, he told her like he didn't. There was something off about where his neighbors had been mutilated, right? And she's like, it looked like my claw marks. He told her, but like there was a different scent there. She goes, "Well, I don't think you did it." So I guess the next episode's issue is going to be in like, and they kind of get in a little skirmish. I won't spoil too much of it, but and then you have the guys in Transylvania. So you got to watch about them. They're planning some takeover of that dark force thing. Dark Force or whatever they call it. And, well, I got to tell you, I definitely highly recommend this one. And I give it 2 thumbs up completely. If you are a fan of the old Werewolf by Night series, or you're just a fan of the macabre and the mysterious and monster stuff, you're going to love this comic book. Trust me. It's great. I'm looking forward to the next issue coming in the mail. I think I might just, after I get off here, pre-order it now. Right after I get off off here with you guys. And before I go, I'd just like to thank y'all for sticking around for the entire video. And if you did stick around, hit like and subscribe if you like the stuff that I do. If you don't, that's fine. I'm not going to beg for likes and views. But, I just try to seek from the heart. So hopefully I'll build an audience. But, and also, before I go, I do sell on Whatnot. I have shows every Sunday at noon Eastern called Dollar Bin Extravaganzas. You can get great deals and steals all day long from me. So check that out if you do the Whatnot thing. You can also follow me at Ghost of Tom Jones 76 on Instagram, and Ghost of Tom Jones 76 is also my Whatnot username. And join my Facebook group. It's called Heroes for Hire Comic Club, just like this channel here. And until next time, true believers, Excelsior.